Please welcome Principal Group Manager, Foundry, Seth Juarez.
How's it going, everybody? We hope you had a great day one of Microsoft Build and are getting ready for an equally exciting day here today. Scott Guthrie, Charles Lamanna, Jay Parikh, and more will be taking the stage here in just a couple of minutes to kick off today's keynote and day two of Microsoft Build. Let's get fired up, huh? Do we have a good day one? Remember, all of this content is going to be available on demand in the coming days, so for anything you can't attend, make a note of it and come back to it in just a few days to catch up or rewatch all of the content available to you. Just like yesterday, you can watch Kadesha Kerr and I on the digital venue right after the keynote, where we will be backstage doing interviews and showcasing demos that will build off of the announcements from the keynotes and provide deep dive conversations with a wide range of developer friends. There's really a lot. All you have to do is stay on the digital venue after the keynotes. Just like yesterday, anyone here needing audio description or an assistive listening device, please visit the assistive listening desk right at the middle entry here in the keynote room. We will also have ASL interpreters and closed captioning here in the room, so please make sure you find a seat in the designated area for the best view. Audio description, ASL interpretation, and closed captioning are also available for everyone online. Simply select their associated toggles in the video player. Before we go, we want to give a special shout out to our featured partners. For those here in person, make sure to visit the hub to connect with featured partners like ARM, Docker, Elastic, and UiPath to discover how their cutting-edge developer solutions can optimize your workflows and enhance performance. And I know, there's still some really cool swag, and I haven't been over there yet, so I really want to go. Here is just a sampling of our featured partners that you can visit in person while here on site. To connect with all of our featured partners, please visit the featured partner directory on the digital venue. Before I go, I ran into an old pal backstage and thought it would be great to get her out here to chat about yesterday and what to expect from today. Give a loud round of applause for our CVP of Data, AI, Digital Apps, Jessica Hawk. Jessica, come on out. How's it going?
Hi, Seth.
I'm excited that you're here. I'm so glad.
I'm surprised that you're here. I would have thought you'd be out camping right now.
Yeah, you know, camping for me is too intense.
This is what I deal with all the time, you guys. I'm just kidding, Seth. I know for a fact you would never miss
Oh,
Build.
no, I love Build.
Well, so a lot was covered yesterday, and I thought what I was going to do for a minute here, guys, is effectively connect what you heard from Satya in the morning to what you're about to hear today. Today we're doing a new style of a developer-oriented keynote where we're basically taking all the great stuff that we announced yesterday and getting into the details a bit.
I love it. I love it. There's a lot of agent stuff, right?
Yeah, if I had to take like one major takeaway from yesterday, I would say we have officially stepped into the era of AI agents.
It's true.
And it's, you know, there's major breakthroughs that have been happening over the last few years here. The systems are reasoning, they're connecting, and I'm a former developer. AI feels like it is now working with us to help solve the problems, get rid of the drudgery, and frankly, software is our art, right? And we're back to creating, which is super exciting.
Look, every time I think AI in my head, I just think, I mean, these are the jokes, people. What are we doing here? Like, come on. All right, now we're looking ahead to another great keynote. What do we expect?
Well, I think we're going to see a lot of hands on keyboard, and I also think maybe you're coming back out. Am I right about that?
Yes, I may have some fun stuff to do, so I'm pretty excited about that.
All right, should we get started?
Let's do it. Let's get started on day 2 of Microsoft Build. Let's do it.
For the last 50 years, Microsoft has been empowering developers.
We have reduced the time to build AI applications by 50%.
When a customer comes to us to buy a vehicle, AI helps serve all that information up at the right time.
This truly is a new era for the legal industry.
Microsoft Fabric brings our data together in a single cohesive stack.
We created Hopin, agentic AI assistant.
Now, through the transformational power of AI with GitHub Copilot, Visual Studio Code, and Azure AI Foundry, every developer has the power to shape the future. From cloud to client, the data center to Windows.
us. Copilot changed the way that we work.
We take advantage of the latest and greatest models through Azure OpenAI.
We're unlocking the full potential of agentic AI.
There aren't very many arenas that account for the art of hearing.
Most of the heavy lifting, writing the boilerplate, was just done. AI will help us change the world quicker.
And we're just getting started.
Please welcome Executive Vice President, Core AI, Jay Parikh.
Good morning, everyone. How was day one? Yeah, that's awesome. All right, well, welcome to day two. My name's Jay, and I support the new Core AI team here at Microsoft. This is my very first build, so it's great to be here with you all. Now, I'm excited because I've spent a lot of time in my career building infra, tools, platform for developers. Soon after I started Microsoft last year, Satya and I were chatting, and we were discussing what it would take to reimagine the end-to-end developer experience for this new era of AI applications. Now, with this in mind, we formed the Core AI team to focus on empowering every developer to shape the future with AI. Now, this is a big, ambitious vision, and we have a lot of work to do. But there are three principles that guide us. First is that we need to force ourselves to use AI-driven tools and platform instead of just AI-assisted experiences. And we need to transform the entire development experience, not just a part of it. And finally, we need to continue to embrace openness and choice, given how fast the landscape of AI is changing around us. Based on these principles, today we're going to show you a complete set of AI-powered tools for building on top of a full-stack agent factory with security and trust baked right in, extending from the cloud to the edge. Now, we're focused on this because we want these tools and this factory to bring back joy in building and operating your new age of AI applications. We're going to make it easier for you to build. We're going to make it easier for you to test, for you to deploy, and for you to monitor your applications. We want to help you modernize your applications, and we also want to help burn down tech debt. Now, why is this important to us? Because as builders, our most precious resource is time, and we want to give you time back. So, as I tell our team, show more, talk less. Now, as an engineer, I want to get in and start to understand how to use these tools. So, I'm going to jump right in here to Copilot. And first thing I'm going to do is pop into Immersive Experience. Now, as a new member of the team, well, let's start off with just something basic that we all know how to do. So we want to see how Copilot is going to help me ramp up in this new application. And I'm a new member of the team, and I'm trying to learn context about what this build events demo is that we're going to be using throughout the course of the day. Now, this is what Copilot returned. It's pretty basic. I think we can do a little bit better. So I'm going to ask Copilot to help me out here. Now, Copilot is going to take this. I asked it to open up a PR so that maybe when a new engineer joins the team, it can actually, Copilot can actually help create a new README file with instructions that actually help me understand the code, understand the application, but also provide setup instructions. So Copilot got to work here, and I'm going to click on this, just show you what it started to work on here. So here's the new request that it's working on. You can see that Copilot started work on behalf of me. Now it's going to take some time to go pull this together. So this was helpful, and it's a fast way for me to ramp up as being a new person in the team. But let's dive into our tools a little bit more so that we can show you how to take these tools so that we can develop faster. And for that, I want to welcome my colleague, Jessica.
Hi,
Hey,
Jay.
Jessica.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, you?
Doing great.
Ready
Hi,
to get
everyone.
going?
Yeah, ready to do some stuff. Yep. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica, and I'm a developer, which mostly means I spend a lot of time asking myself, who broke this? And then realizing it was me. OK, I'm in VS Code, and with the GitHub extension, I've got all my issues and PRs right here in the editor, which is great until someone decides that I'm the expert and creates the kind of issue that looks simple until it most definitely is not. So let's do what every good developer does with a long backlog. You're absolutely right. Immediately look for something we can pawn off. All right, first up, we have input validation. What do you think, Jay?
No.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, I'm going to have to escalate this to not me. Copilot, you're up. I believe in you. You love boring things. All right, next, type hints.
Also no.
Yeah, nothing says I trust no one like explaining every argument and return value in painful detail. Hard pass. Again, I'm going to let Copilot take this one. It lives for this kind of thing. All right, next, to-do comments. Seriously?
Oh, boy.
I feel personally attacked. Who opened this? Oh, told you I break things. It was me. Yep, Copilot, my trusty sidekick, go fulfill past me's empty promises. So yeah, instead of spending the rest of this keynote writing boilerplate validation and chasing down old to-dos, I can let GitHub Copilot Coding Agent handle the stuff that drains my will to code and actually focus on real product work like this one. Updating the mic icon with a new design from Figma. I'll just click this arrow here that'll self-assign me to the issue, and it'll allow me to start work on a local branch. Let's also go ahead and bring up the simple browser here so that we can see what we're working with. Great, I can see the current mic icon. Now I'll just hop into the mic icon file, and we'll start doing an on-click event. Perfect, thanks Ghost Text. Now notice that when I do, Copilot actually sees this, and it starts to suggest updates to other parts of the code proactively. All I have to do is hit Tab, and then Tab again, and that's it. This is called Next Edit Suggestions, and it's Copilot taking completions to the next level. Now, Jay, I could go back over to the issue. I could grab the design from Figma. I could start refactoring and writing the route logic. But honestly, you didn't come here to watch me code. They didn't come here to watch me code. We've got a packed keynote full of awesome things. So let's actually scale me up, and let's bring an agent in right here in VS Code. I'll simply pop over into Copilot, and all I have to do is tell Copilot to begin to work on this issue, and just like that, Copilot will actually take care of the rest. It's going to go out and fetch the issue details directly from GitHub. It'll even spot the Figma link, and it'll grab the designs automatically. And check this out, Jay. Look at this. Under References, it's even sure to follow our organization and our code base's best practices. It picked this, the Copilot instructions file up automatically. Now, you're probably thinking at this point, wow, Jessica, this is spectacular. And you are correct. But you also might be wondering, how is this all working? I'm so glad you asked. This is all powered by Model Context Protocol, or MCP. And to keep it simple, MCP enhances our chat experience by giving Copilot more context and access to more tools. You can see those tools here. We can do a wide variety of things with GitHub, and we can even grab the assets directly from Figma. OK, now I can see that agent mode is done. Let's take a look at it.
Wow, that looks spectacular.
This looks pretty great. It's a pixel-perfect match to Figma, and it even has the raised effect. Now, all I have to do is hit Keep, and then if I go over to my source control, I want to show you something else that I really love, is Copilot can actually even finish my commit messages for me, too. It knows exactly what changed, and it knows my commit style, and quite honestly, it saves me from writing fix stuff or did the thing for the third time today. Now, we could go ahead and publish this and actually submit a PR, but we already know how that part works. So I want to show you something else that's really cool. The issue that you assigned earlier, I know you have a lot of things to cover in the keynote. I'm going to do you a solid, and I want to review this for you. While we were off working in VS Code, Copilot actually already handled the README, and we can take a look and see if it's done, and I believe it is. There we go. We see the files changed. And I'm just going to jump over and look at the rich diff. And look at this. It added quite a bit more things. This is awesome, but I don't think it's perfect. Now, we've talked a lot about accessibility and having some visualization and some other things to enhance it. Yeah. I think it'd be even more powerful if we added an architecture diagram to this.
Good idea.
So I'm going to jump over to the conversation. And honestly, this is why we do code reviews. I'll just jump down here, down at the bottom, and I'll go ahead and tell Copilot that I want to add an architecture diagram using Mermaid.js. Now, check this out. When I hit comment and I scroll up, we'll see Copilot should pick this up pretty quickly, and it'll immediately get to work on the requested changes. There we go. We could jump into the session, but we don't have time to do that. Let me show you what a completed one looks like. Let's take a look here. Look at that mermaid diagram. That's pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
It's pretty great. Now, this is one of my favorite parts because in just a few issues, Copilot helped me move from issue to implementation quickly. And honestly, it handled the stuff that as developers usually slows us down. And personally, as a developer, it amplifies me. And as a result, I get to focus on higher impact work and still move fast confidently.
How do I use that in my app?
You know, I am so glad you asked. This is all powered by something called models. And the best part is that I can use these same models in my own apps. In fact, that's what makes this so powerful, is it's not just for GitHub. In fact, everyone in this room can build their own agentic applications too using GitHub models and Azure AI Foundry. We can even pop over and take a look at the different models we have in the playground. And when we click Use this model, we can also take a look at the different languages. And when you scroll down, we'll even give you some code to get started. And I believe we actually have an issue open for that Amanda and Elijah on our team are going to dive more into GitHub models and Azure AI Foundry in just a few moments. Now, just to recap here, in just about 5 minutes, we've tackled 5 issues. How are we doing so far?
We're doing really well. Now, I was looking at last night, though, we had an incident.
We did.
And I was wondering if we should take a deeper look at that because we may have an issue with this old version of Java in the back end.
I think you're right. And honestly, that's one of the things that's the hardest part about being a developer is things like tech debt like that and figure out how we can address upgrading things like, I believe our backend is using Java 8.
That's right.
And we've talked a lot about how we can upgrade that. Why don't I take a look at the incident, and do you want to take a look at the Java 8
Yeah, let me
upgrade?
get started on that.
Perfect. All right, let me go ahead and switch over here. Now, let's talk about that issue that Jay mentioned. I can see right here that we do have an incident that happened last night. It looks like there was an unhandled exception. And what's cool is I can also see an incident timeline and summary. Now, as I'm scrolling further, I can see that there's a root cause analysis. I can see that there's some attachments. And when I open that issue, when I click the deep link to go over into Azure, I can see the Azure Monitor alert that was detected. I can see it was a Sev2 alert that was fired at 1:57 a.m. Now, this is important, and this is really cool, because the SRE agent from Azure actually did all the work for me. We as developers know that one of the worst things is being paged in the middle of the night and being on call, mainly because at 1:57 in the morning, I don't know about you, but my brain is not booted up. It is sleeping. It is in hibernation state. Luckily, SRE Agent was able to address that and handle that super quickly. I can see that it immediately acknowledged the alert at 1:57, and it began the investigation. I can see the activity logs for it. It's starting to form a hypothesis. I can see the log analytics queries. And scrolling down even further, I can see that it finished the investigation. It was looking at the total requests, memory utilization, CPU, and here's where it noticed the spike in those 500 errors. Now, what's also cool is it figured out the deployment and the correlation. So it was able to detect that these 500 errors were related to a faulty deployment. And what's even better is it actually handled the rollback for me, and it continued monitoring it after the fact. Now, this is really important, because if I look at the timestamp here, we're now at 2:02. So in 7 minutes, or 5 minutes, actually, I believe, it was able to pick that up, roll it back, handle the monitoring, and I didn't have to get out of bed. What's even more powerful is because it commented in the issue, it only took me about 30 seconds to get caught up on. So this is great. It saved me a lot of time. I didn't have to wake up. And I could go back up to the top of this issue, assign it to GitHub Copilot, and let GitHub Copilot maybe address the code change that broke it. However, Jay, I think we know what the issue is. We really can't put off that Java migration any longer. And as painful as it's going to be, I think we have to tackle it. What are your thoughts?
I think we can tackle it. Actually, Jessica, doesn't look that bad, because I think we can call in Copilot to help us. So check this out.
All right.
So started this project to see what we need to do to upgrade this. And it runs this report for us so we can get just a good landscape as to what we got to do here. So then I can pop over to the migrate tab here. And it says here we got a couple things to do here, but we've got to upgrade our version of RabbitMQ here to Azure Service Bus.
Okay.
So I'm just going to click the Migrate button here, and GitHub Copilot picks this up. It starts working on this, and we'll see as it's analyzing the project here, you can see that it's looking at different files here. It's coming up with a plan for what it needs to do to go change here.
Okay.
And now it's going to start to go look at a bunch of files here, and you can see, hey, look, there's a couple of Java files here. We got to go do this. So I'm going to hit continue here, and it's going to get to work here, cranking through these files and figuring out what we need to change here. And you can see here, it's going to jam through this, and look at that. So here's a set of changes that Copilot puts out there for us to upgrade here to Azure Service Bus and off of RabbitMQ, and it looks like this is done like pretty fast.
That's amazing. I mean, this just saved us so much time. And here we were thinking, we kept putting that issue off on the backlog, thinking it was just going to take way too long. And I mean, I think that's basically now, what, 7 issues in just about 7 minutes?
Not bad.
It's a pretty good success rate.
Yeah, we should keep it going.
We should. You know, we were actually talking about another issue over lunch last week. I have an idea for it.
Okay.
Why don't I?
You want to get to work on that?
Yeah.
And
why
I'll
don't I
finish
work on
up
that?
this?
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
So just to recap here, what you saw from our agent was to help you migrate an old version of Java to a new version of Java. Now, it goes through this phase of planning out what the migration needs to look like, then it executes it, and then it'll summarize this. Now, this doesn't just work for Java, it also works for .NET right here in Visual Studio. So you can see here, the agent is planning out what this upgrade needs to look like. It then starts to execute the upgrade. Now, if it gets stuck, it can prompt the user, me, for hints, and I can take control back. It'll learn from my prompts so that it doesn't make these same errors going forward. So finally, once Copilot is actually done, it can produce a detailed summary of what the changes are so that I can review them, and when I'm ready, I can commit them, test them, and push them to production. Now, we're taking the same framework of plan, execute, and summarize to help also modernize mainframe code. There is billions of lines of COBOL running significant parts of major companies around the world. And it's hard to know what all of this code is doing today. Now, not only will the agent help us document what all of this code is doing, it will also help write a set of unit tests so that when you do the upgrade, you will be able to test the application and making sure it's working correctly. Now, we're still working on this, and this should be available later this year. Now, we have a lot of customers who are taking and getting benefits from the migration agent here. Not only for .NET, but also for Java. They're saving time, and they're able to move faster. Ford was able to also refactor their RabbitMQ code base and upgrade to Azure Service Bus. They did this 3 times faster with GitHub Copilot. So, Jessica, how's it going over there?
It's going great. You want to see something really cool?
Yeah, let's check it out.
All right. So last week we were talking about adding a virtual guest book called Memories with an agentic Spotify integration using Azure AI Foundry, right?
Right.
All right. I thought this was going to be super hard. It turns out agent mode, everything is possible. So look at this. I just told Copilot that I want to get to work on issue 44 for the memory service, began to have a normal conversation. It went out and got the issue details from GitHub. It started creating all of these components, and it even told me exactly what it was doing. Scrolling down even further, I told it I wanted to set up Azure Cosmos DB, some Azure Foundry integration, and then it continued with setting all this up. Do you want to see the finished product?
Yeah, let's check it out.
Do you want to see the finished product? Absolutely. Let's do this. All right, here it is. It's called The Memories. And check this out even more. Seth, who you guys met,
is already here.
He is so on top of it. He was so excited to use it. He's already commented. This event is awesome. And here's what's really cool. Because we know we're at Build, we also have a Windows sound. And guess what? I believe it really works. We can test Copilot's code, but do you want to do the honors?
No, why don't you?
OK, I'll go ahead and do the honors. Everyone ready? Pretty awesome. Now, what do you think?
That is excellent, Jessica. So thank you for showing all this off.
You're very welcome. One more thought I did have is, what do you think about dropping the?
I think should probably just call it.
I think it's cleaner. All right.
All right.
Thank you very much,
Jessica.
Jay.
Great job. OK, so that's just a glimpse of what we're doing to reimagine this end-to-end development process. We're focused on every phase of this plan, create, and operate cycle. Not only are you going to have a set of AI-driven tools to help you move faster in your own work, but you will have a team of these always-on agents that you're going to be able to orchestrate. Now, best of all, we want to do this and optimize for openness and choice. You all saw the announcement yesterday where we're open sourcing Copilot extension in VS Code. Now, I'm super excited about this because I've spent a lot of time in my career helping to drive different open source efforts, both software and hardware. And I know what a great community can do to accelerate adoption of new technology and to drive innovation forward. So yesterday, we also saw and we announced that we are working with OpenAI to integrate the Codex agent directly into the GitHub platform. And today, I'm actually excited to announce that we are working with Anthropic to integrate Cloud Code directly into the GitHub platform as well. So think of GitHub as the organizing layer for your teams of always-on agents. All of your SWE agents, all of your SRE agents, and any other agents that you might be using. It will be the platform where you orchestrate intelligence across the entire software lifecycle. Now, it's the perfect place to do this because GitHub has valuable context and it has the right security measures. Your agents can operate effectively, efficiently, and securely. Openness and choice, that's what all developers want, and that's what we're going to deliver. Now, to wrap up this section, I want to highlight a lot of customers here that are getting benefits from using GitHub Copilot. Now, I especially like what the team at Ramp is doing. Ramp is using Copilot to integrate in their development lifecycle, and they are saving roughly 30,000 hours per month of manual work so that they can ship faster and have fewer blockers as they continue to innovate and build their product. Now, I also want to have you hear from our partner at Cathay Pacific.
Cathay Pacific is the largest airline of Hong Kong and serves over 90 global destinations, and a team of 30,000 people, including over 1,000 software developers. Building and maintaining software is mission critical. With GitHub Copilot and Agent Mode, we are able to save developer time and increase productivity.
To me, it is more than just a tool. It feels like a collaborative partner.
GitHub Copilot helps us to ship faster. I mean, agentic mode is really useful, right? With the multi-modal features that we have, gives you a flexibility on how you are going to use that agent mode in a better way.
Innovation at Cathay is taking off with GitHub Copilot.
It's great to see how they're saving so much time and bringing joy back to their development teams. Okay, so let's shift from AI-powered tools to the platform that powers your AI applications and agents. Building an AI-driven product today requires an entirely new set of infrastructure, systems, services, and tools. And that's where Foundry comes in. Foundry is the AI app and agent factory. Now, a bit of a side note here. Earlier this year, I was sharing our vision for Agent Factory with Bill, and he lit up with excitement. He shared with me that when he and Paul started Microsoft 50 years ago, the vision was to create a software factory. It was a company built around smart programmers capable of developing a broad range of software, from tools to applications to operating systems. This was unlike many other companies at the time that were focused on single-purpose applications. We're taking the same approach as we build out Foundry. We're building a full-stack platform for all of your AI applications and agents. So it's pretty awesome to see the parallel here 50 years later. Now, we announced Foundry last fall at Ignite, and we've been working really, really hard to ship features quickly. Now, as Satya mentioned yesterday, more than 70,000 organizations today use Foundry. We ship so many things it's impossible to cover them. And I really hope you take some time to go play with all of the new features and try them out and see what you can build. Now, we're using Foundry ourselves internally as well, and you're going to hear from Charles in a little bit about M365 and Copilot Studio as well, and both of those actually leverage Foundry. I'm not going to have time to cover everything, But I want to jump into 3 main areas of Foundry here. Today, we're going to cover models and agents, and there's a lot actually to go explore in knowledge or data as well. So here's a couple of things that are really, really exciting to help you understand and how to use these models in very sophisticated ways. First of all, we have this new leaderboard, which will help you pick models. Second, we've actually done an integration with Hugging Face so that you get access to 11,000 more models in addition to the 1,900 models that are in the catalog today. And then we also commit to same-time access. So as OpenAI releases the newest, latest, greatest models, you will have them accessible in Foundry as well. We've added a model router, which will help you select the best model for your prompt in real time. And then there's an integration using MCP into Azure API Management Service. So whatever APIs you've built in your enterprise, you can access them via an agent or an AI application via MCP. As you saw earlier, the GitHub VS Code integration is there, and it's used by 100 million plus developers. We also have a GitHub Models tab to test out your prompts right there. And then also very rich set of functionality to help you customize your models and bring your own data to do whatever you need to do for your specific use case. And finally, we have a distillation capability that will allow you to take a big model, break it down to a smaller model so that you can optimize for cost and for performance. Now, a wide variety of organizations are already using and taking advantage of these capabilities. One example here is the Indiana Pacers. They've built an in-arena real-time captioning system. And using Foundry, they were able to get the error rate down to just about 1%. So let's hear from our next customer here, Manus, on what they're doing to build with Foundry.
Think of Manus not as a chat interface, but as the world's first self-driving digital operator, an agent defined by action, not advice. It doesn't wait, it senses, then executes. Powered by Azure AI Foundry, Manus is fast, secure, and scales for even the most demanding use cases. From campaign artwork to deep research and custom code, it delivers with precision. With Azure AI Foundry under the hood, we are not just imagining the future of agentic AI, we are building it.
I love what the team at Manus is building. It's really interesting stuff. You should check it out. So now onto the other core area of Foundry, agents. We're seeing a lot of customers build agents of all types to power their business and move forward in this new AI era. Foundry gives you a complete stack of agent capabilities. Let me highlight a few key services that we've been talking about this week that can extend Foundry so that you can provide and build a richer set of agents. First up, Agent Service. Agent Service allows you to create, deploy, and monitor agents at enterprise scale. Second is Agent Catalog. It provides a starter set of templates. So if you want to get started in building an agent, you can jump right into the catalog, use a template, use a recipe, and start to build an agent and iterate from there. Agent Knowledge allows you to bring data from Fabric or from Databricks or from SharePoint and put that together with your agent so your agent can produce or perform more sophisticated tasks. Next up, we have Agent Tools. So we support frameworks such as MCP and A2A, and you have access to 14,000 plus services using those frameworks. Now, we have also frameworks that will allow you to build multi-agent workflows. So you can build very, very complex workflows, automate decision-making in a cohesive and intelligent workforce. Let's take a look how easy it is to build an example of a multi-agent system with Foundry. Please welcome Amanda and Elijah to walk us through this.
What better way to showcase our Foundry Agent Factory than by demonstrating it live, then taking you behind the scenes with us to show you how we built the agents and ensure they're safe and secure. Before we jump into our multi-agent application, let's first build a single agent together using Azure AI Foundry Portal. Meet our RSVP agent. Here's how we'll build it. First, we're going to give it a model. Here we're using GPT-4o. Next, we're going to give it a set of instructions. And finally, we're going to configure some tools. Here, we're going to use the file search tool to manage my invite list, as well as the create calendar event open API tool, which we'll call an Azure Logic app to create a calendar event on my behalf. But now let's see this agent in action. Right now, I'm going to ask it to create a calendar event for today, actually called Post Build After Party, and I'm inviting Elijah.
Oh, sweet. I'm excited for this after party. And what's it doing right now,
As
Amanda?
you can see, in a moment, it will start using its configuration, which we just did together, to make the correct tool calls and then eventually create the calendar event on my behalf.
Awesome. So now, moment of truth. Let's pull up my calendar. And you guys can see I got a really busy day here today. And there it is. It showed up in my calendar. Thanks so much, Amanda, for the sweet invite. So that was great, but now let's jump into the code. So I'm jumping into VS Code, and you can see here that I have the Azure AI Foundry extension installed. This extension is great because we can see the models, agents, and threads that are associated with our project. I want to take a moment to zoom in on threads because transparency is a key part of agentic workflows. And through threads, we can see each step the agent is taking along the way. So here we can actually see what Amanda just said, as well as the agent's response, as well as more in-depth details, like the number of tokens that were used, as well as the tools that were invoked. Pretty cool, huh, Amanda?
Yeah, Elijah, but where is this thread data stored?
That's a great question. Developers actually have the ability to use managed resources, but I actually today have them in my own Cosmos DB. What's great also is that we could use the data in Microsoft Fabric and Azure Databricks to power our agents. And so, yeah, we can see here. It's also, we're very excited that Cosmos DB is now available in Microsoft Fabric. So that's great. Now, let's jump back into the code to see how we can actually build our Foundry agent. So I'm going to go here into this file, and you can see we're using the Foundry Agent Service SDK to be able to initiate our agent client. Then from there, we're going to attach the file search tool. What's important to note here, though, is that even though I'm using the file search tool today, we could use a variety of tools, including external APIs, MCP or Model Context Protocol servers, or even other agents using the Foundry Connected Agent tool. Pretty cool stuff. And then you can see here I'm giving it a model as well as a name and the system prompt. That's great. Now let's see how we execute our agent. So I'm going to go in here. You can see I'm executing it using the Foundry Agent Service SDK. But what's also important to know that we're using Foundry agents today, but we could use any kind of agent, including Crew AI, LangChain, or even multiple agents using agent-to-agent or A-to-A protocol. Pretty cool stuff. So this is awesome, but now let's see our agents in action. Amanda, do you want to show them what we built?
Yeah. Now let's dive into the application. Build Events is a multi-agent event planner application powered by a voice-controlled agentic orchestrator, which will delegate tasks, or tool calls as we call them, to our sub-agents we built using the Foundry Agent Service. Together, we just built our RSVP agent, but now let me show you the power of multiple agents working together in one experience.
Hello, how can I assist you with your event planning needs today?
Hi, I'd like help planning a hackathon in San Francisco on May 22nd, 2025. My budget is $15,000, and I'm expecting around 200 attendees. The event will be from 5 to 10 p.m. Pacific time. Could you please help me find an event venue?
I'm searching for a venue in San Francisco to host your... Sure, I can assist with that. Would you like help with creating invitations or setting up an RSVP system for the hackathon?
Our first agent is now hard at work, which will help me find an event venue.
Here are some venue options in San Francisco for your hackathon. 1, the Fillmore. Capacity up to 1,000 guests.
Hey, this looks great. Could we go with the Fillmore? Could you now create the calendar event and send out my invites to my invite list?
I'm in the process of creating the calendar event for the hackathon at the Fillmore and sending out the invites to your existing invite list. I'll update you once it's done. Is there anything you'd like to arrange for the hackathon? The hackathon event.
Yes. Now I'd like your help generating an image to promote my event on LinkedIn, as well as drafting some content. I'd like you to make the image convey excitement, but other than that, take full creative liberty on both tasks.
I'm working on generating an exciting image and drafting content to promote your hackathon on LinkedIn. I'll have them ready shortly. Is there anything specific you'd like to include in the post?
As you can see, now 2 Foundry agents have been kicked off at the same time, working simultaneously to help me get my LinkedIn post ready. The first one finished.
And innovation. I'm waiting
and
for the
here
image
is
to be
the draft
generated,
we have for
and
the
then
LinkedIn
I'll have
post.
everything ready for you to review.
And here is the
Would you
image.
like to approve the draft now?
Hi, this looks great. Could you now post both the image and the draft to LinkedIn?
I'm posting the image and draft to LinkedIn now. I'll let you know once it's live.
So now our final agent has been kicked off, and it will give the response back and tell us the status of our post. So, moment of truth.
Dum, da, da, dum. Getting it there. And this is a live demo, so
yeah,
it may take
everything
a
is
second.
happening live, so that is why.
The LinkedIn post has been successfully published.
Okay, now let's go to LinkedIn, and again, this is live, so we're making sure everything went through. And as you can see, the post is now live. Check out our Build Events by Contoso page after this if you want to see my practice. Now, Elijah's going to show us how we ensure our agents are always doing as we program them to do.
Amanda, that was great. And you guys are all invited to our hackathon coming up. So now that we know our agents are up and running, it's also crucial to make sure that they're delivering high-quality results. And in order to do that, we've integrated the Azure AI Evaluation SDK directly into our CI/CD pipeline with GitHub Actions. And what's actually even more exciting is using GitHub models, which Jessica presented earlier, we generated a summary of all the evals that we're running here. So we can see that right here, which enhances our overall DevOps experience. And then you can see, here are our agents that we're evaluating, as well as operational metrics, doing pretty well, and then some AI quality metrics. And it looks like, Amanda, we got to do some work to improve the AI quality. So today, you've seen how to create, use, and evaluate agents with the Azure AI Agent Foundry service. Amanda and I actually have a breakout session today at 4:30, where we'll be taking an even deeper dive on the app you saw here today. We're super excited to see what you build. And with that, Jay, we'll kick it back to you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Elijah. Love the capabilities you are building for developers. So let's fast forward just a couple of days and pretend that this hackathon happened and it went really well. But now I want to dig into the data about the event. So I want to bring on Patrick to show us how.
What's up, Jay?
How are you?
Hey, how's it going? All right, so the event team, they want to search. They want to do a better search on their app, okay? And so they came to me and they were like, Patrick, we want to look for demo presenters that are good at live demos, like us, right? And that are good with Gen AI and data. And I'm like, all right, I could do that. Let me see what you got. So they show me this app, and they say, oh, by the way, we're only using a vector search and a keyword search. And I thought, wow, like 1900s again, right? But let's switch this up.
Maybe we can do better.
We can do better. There's a new hope. We can use semantic operators in PostgreSQL.
Whoa.
Not only, right, I'm gonna amp this search up a little bit, and I click search, and what you're gonna see is that it narrows it down just some very specific speakers, including myself, Jay, including myself, all right? But you may be thinking, hey, how did you do this? So enough of all this talking. Let's head over to VS Code. So we're gonna head over to VS Code, and I'm gonna introduce you to these semantic operators. And the first one I'm gonna show you is the AI generate. And so basically, I'm gonna pass the events in, and it creates a description for all my events. I don't have to do anything. It just works for me.
That's easy.
Okay? It's easy. But let's take a look at a query that resembles or reflects what we did behind the scenes. And so the first part of our query, we did go back to the 1900s. We used a vector search and a keyword search to handle the Gen AI and the data part. But then we used a semantic join down here in our view to handle the live and the good part. And then you can see right here, right, it returned the exact same speakers you saw on that page.
That's excellent.
It's excellent, right? And so you heard Amanda and Elijah say that, hey, we're storing all of our thread data in Cosmos DB running in Fabric, which means They keep all their data in the one lake. The one lake is amazing. So we decided that we're going to replicate, we're going to mirror our Postgres SQL database over into Fabric, which puts our data in the one lake. And now we can combine these two different sources into a single query to create a semantic model. And watch this. Let me show you something else. And we're going to create this really beautiful report right here. There we go. Create this really beautiful report that they can use. So for example, they can look at their hackathon in San Francisco to see all the data, and they can gain some insight at how great that event was, but they can also take a look at this and possibly make this event even better.
That is awesome. Thank you for sharing those insights.
Yeah, do you think we can get this, should we get this in the app?
Yeah, you want to send it to Copilot?
Hey, Copilot, do what you do. Let's create that issue, Jay. All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great meal.
So lots of customers are already firing up their agent factories, as you can see. Carvana actually used Foundry to build an agent to analyze all of their customer interactions. And from there, the insights that they gained, they were able to make a 40% reduction in inbound calls per sale. Now, let's hear from NASDAQ on what they're building.
It takes countless hours of manual work to make sure corporate governance teams are fully equipped and ready for their meetings.
We are building AI agents using Azure AI Foundry for Nasdaq Board Vantage. These agents help Nasdaq's customers answer questions about risk, governance, board meetings, and industrial insights.
Our customers reported a 25% reduction in the amount of time that corporate secretaries spent preparing summaries for each meeting. It was science fiction 10 years ago.
Now, these new capabilities are great, but adopting these in the enterprise is going to be limited if we can't trust it and we can't secure it. Foundry offers these capabilities around trust and security baked in from the start. It's a core principle for how we're building Foundry. Now, we're also integrating Microsoft security products like Entra, Purview, and Defender right into Foundry. So as you're building agents, you're going to be able to secure it. So to show us how all of this works, please welcome Ranush.
Hello, everyone. I am tasked with ensuring that my AI agent is safe and secure. There's a lot that I need to do, from identifying and measuring for the right risks, putting the right control in place, and perform ongoing monitoring for any new threats and issues. Luckily, Foundry enables me to do all of that. Today, I'm just going to show you a small part of 3 steps: measure, protect, and monitor. Now, I know that once my AI application goes out there, bad actors will try to misuse it. So here on my computer, I'm going to use the AI red teaming agent to adversarially test my AI application against such attacks before I ship it. As you can see, I have the right risk categories and attack strategies set up. And now my AI red teaming agent is attempting to attack my system. Let's take a look at some results from an earlier run. Here I can see that 42% of attacks have gone through. Double-clicking on that, I can see that my model is getting confused by some jailbreak attempts. I need to activate additional guardrails in order to protect against these. Luckily, Foundry enables me with agent, data, and model guardrails. I can create a content filter, attach my prompt shield and activate it to protect me against direct and indirect jailbreak attempts coming through grounding data, agent tool calls, or even user interface. I set my output filters here, attach it to the endpoint that I'm using in this agent, and just like that, I have my guardrails set up. Now it's time to monitor against new threats to my AI systems. I can see the new threats against my AI system in this view. As you can see, several jailbreak attempts have happened against my AI system, but the great news is that Prompt Shield has already blocked them for me. I would like to double-click on that and understand the source of the issue. For that, I head to Defender. Defender is a product for security operation to fully investigate security incidents. I can see the whole incident here, including where it is coming from. The attacker appears to be part of a known attack group. I think it's safe to remove this agent's access to resources just in case it's compromised. I go to Entra for that. Using Entra's agent ID, I can track and manage all my agents. Here is the compromised one. Let's remove its access from resources until I address the issue. Now my system is secure again. As you can see, Foundry plus Microsoft Security enables you to identify and measure for new risks, put the right controls in place, and perform ongoing monitoring post-production. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Manoush. So here are some customers that are seeing significant benefits of building with Foundry because security and trust is baked in. Using Foundry, Heineken has implemented regular evaluations and personality checks to safeguard its chatbot from violating its business values. So let's hear from Accenture on how they're using Foundry.
At Accenture, we focus on AI and agent-led end-to-end business process transformations.
We knew responsible AI could help us improve the efficiency and security of our development processes.
With its leadership in responsible generative AI, Azure AI Foundry is a game changer for us.
We have seen a 30% increase in overall efficiency, 20% reduction in cost, and it reduced the time to build AI applications by 50%.
There is no Gen AI without responsible AI.
Okay, so we've seen our tools, we've seen our agent factory, and it's also protected with industry-leading trust and security. But we shouldn't be restricted to just deploying in the cloud. We don't want two different platforms, one for the cloud and a different one from the edge. That would be a real pain. So we're building Foundry so that we can extend it from the cloud all the way to the edge. Now this is really cool, so we should just jump right into the demo. Please welcome Seth.
How's it going?
Good
I'm
to
so
see you.
excited to be here. Everyone should know that all those demos are live. We're not faking any of this stuff.
They're all live.
Except for this, and I'm just kidding. So let's go ahead and let me show you Foundry models, but locally. Here's a number of models that are available to me directly inside. I'm just running the command because, you know, it's kind of cool. But the thing is that there's a bunch of models that you can download and use locally. And that's the thing, because when you're moving from cloud to edge and you want to have some of this benefit, you can have it directly on your actual machine. Which, can you not hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I can hear me. Thank you. I could have just spoken to this. Would that have been awkward?
Maybe.
Okay. So let me go ahead and just say, write me an outline for how LMs. I think you asked me to do that.
I did. It was homework.
Yeah, and so
We'll
I'm going to get it done as soon as I can, and I'll get it to you in an email.
I can see you're working hard.
Well, yes, I'm typing it up right now. Notice that this is working locally, directly on my machine, and you can see that it's hitting my GPU.
Excellent.
Yeah, which is really, wait, I did the wrong GPU. It's this one, sorry. You're like, that's not the right one, Seth. That's the one. But the thing about this is that this is going to tie into something that you heard about yesterday, the Windows MCP registry, and now imagine what your operating system might be able to do for you later on.
Lots
but I'm just going to tease
interesting ideas.
So that's my demo, so thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. Can you hang out for a second? Just one more second.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We'll do that. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Seth. That's really cool stuff. So now, you know, we have seen the AI-powered tools that we have. We've also talked about our agent factory. We're securing this whole thing with the industry-leading security and safety. Now, we've also seen how we can take it from the edge to the cloud as well. But we want to keep moving here. And we want to keep exploring the frontier of what we can do with our tools and our platform. So before we go, we want to share one more thing. We're teaming up with the MSR team to really explore what could be possible to build and to incorporate into our tools and our platform. Now, these are not new products. We don't have dates in terms of when we're shipping these things, so we have a lot to figure out still. But we want to give you a sense of what capabilities we're working on. So Seth, let's show them what we got.
Let's do it, but we're going to make it awkward here. Okay, this is Project Amelie. And for those that don't know, we'll hang on. For those that don't know, I used to be a data scientist. I'm not just this beautifully coiffed beard. I used to be a data scientist. And what happened is there was a lot of work that we needed to do as data scientists when we did an AI thing or a machine learning. That's what we called it, before it was cool. So imagine you're asked to build a model like predict accommodation rental prices in Seattle. What you would have to do is you would have to get some data, you'd have to analyze it a little bit, and so, again, I think here's some homework here that I was maybe supposed to do for you. We can upload the data set, and what you would do as a data scientist is you would look at every row of these data sets, you would try to figure out if the column was right, and sometimes someone,
maybe,
it was probably one of you, would put a string dollar where there should have been a number. Do you know what I'm saying? Some of you would actually do this. Very frustrating. So notice here that it's already done some analysis, and what I can do is I can start to ask it things as if it were like a mini data scientist in a box. And notice that it's trying to look at this information, and it's doing some of this stuff. So it's still accessing this. This doesn't take, this is not a 5-minute demo. It takes like about an hour.
Right,
but for a data scientist, that's like a whole day and a half. Let me show you something that's already done. This thing is already done. You can see it goes through,
Oh, there's the error.
You want to know what error it was?
I do.
Oh, the dollar sign. Who did that? Okay, but notice that it was able to iterate and finally get to the actual models. It self-corrected itself, the actual code, and some metrics because it's using 2 different models, one for reasoning and one for generating code so that you can actually use this actual code to get started as a data scientist. How cool is that?
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, but there's more. There's more. There's an OpenAI benchmark that they put up. This RD agent, together with MSR, is actually at the top of the list.
leaderboard.
That's right. So thank you so much. This was awesome.
That's awesome.
This is awesome.
Hey, so do you think we have time for one more thing?
Well, I'm not dressed like the fun director at a cruise for
Sorry,
nothing, right? So let's do one more thing.
Okay.
Let's do one more thing. So it turns out that I went and read a paper this weekend on something called GraphRag, and Microsoft Research has done some amazing things with this. GraphRag is a situation where instead of just taking chunks of text and putting it into a vector and searching, it actually takes the chunks of text and uses LLMs to extract entities and relationships, and it makes a graph so that other LLMs can query it, and the SQL Server team actually did this with their code. So let's take a look at this thing. They weren't going to let me look at their code here in person. So here is an error log of something that actually happened to one of their engineers. Now, C++ is super scary to me, even to this day, because of pointers and such.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I know. And so looking at this thing is kind of stressful. But now imagine being able to talk to this new data structure, figure out where the errors actually live, understand the actual code, and maybe even get to a fix.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and like, for example, whenever we get into a new organization like you are, you can literally talk to the knowledge of a senior engineer.
And how big is this graph?
This graph has about 14 million nodes and 24 million edges. So it really is
a big code base.
It is a big code base. And there you see, it's literally fixing the actual code of our actual production thing. That's why I brought the video. We're not going to give Seth access to code. So that's it. Isn't that great?
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So should we do one more thing? What do you think, audience? I mean,
I love being on stage.
Okay.
So let's just do this. Do you all remember that?
Do you want to? We should do something more fun.
More fun?
More fun. Yeah.
Okay. So do you remember this game? Let's play the video. Do you remember this game here? Let's play it. Oh, get it up here. Anyone remember this game? Yeah. I used to play it all the time myself.
Too.
One of the things, though, you couldn't do something.
You couldn't do
and in fact,
a few things.
If we go to the code,
things.
they actually released the code, and there's like a love letter here to all of the programmers.
Do you guys remember this?
He said, you could add some game features like weapons or jumping. So someone used the exact same GraphRag, indexed this code, and then made the coding agent, they said, hey, can you make it jump? And you can see, people tell me that all the time, and they can't even make me do it, right?
Right.
And so you can see that it actually created this capability for realsies. Like, I don't say for realsies on purpose on stage, but for realsies. You can see it actually did it. And now, if we can roll the second one, we're gonna see the
Look at that.
Look at that.
The players
Come on, how
jumping.
cool is that? So there you have it, my friend.
All right, thank you, Seth. That's pretty cool, Seth, so thank you for that. Now, we want to wrap up here, and you know, as builders, we know how important these things are, our tools and our platform. They matter for perfecting our craft, they matter for shaping the culture of our teams, and they also matter for shaping and realizing our ambitions. When I think about the opportunity here, the thing that gets me most excited is the idea of breaking free from the constraints of the old ways of building and operating. To break out of the single pane, linear deterministic view and into a kind of multiverse where you can build and operate in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and to do so in parallel with effectively a limitless number of agents acting on your behalf. There's a lot of work to do here still, and to realize this kind of vision, and it's something that we'll need to do together and in the open to make AI superpowers ubiquitous. But if we can do it, we can create a world where we are no longer constrained by the number of developers you can hire and the number of hours in the day. It's a world where only constraints are imagination and our drive, and maybe looking for a few GPUs. But that's still a world worth building. So let's go build it. Thank you, and please welcome Jatinder.
Thank you, Jay. Windows AI Foundry is our next step forward, building on the foundation of Azure AI Foundry and Windows Copilot Runtime to bring the full power of AI to the client. It gives you a consistent system for running, customizing, and building AI models directly on Windows at scale. You get access to a growing catalog of models, tools to customize them with your own data, APIs for natural language and vision, and the support you need to run custom models consistently, regardless of the underlying silicon. The growth in available models over the past year has been exceptional. Today, you can explore a wide range of local models tuned for Windows and sourced from the AI Toolkit extension, as you can see here, or pulling directly from leading repositories. These span CPU, GPU, and of course NPU, unlocking powerful SLMs across the incredibly broad Windows install base. But it's not just about the number of models, it's about the quality. Just a year ago, small language models were good at summarization and basic chat. Today, those same models running entirely on your device can solve math problems, reason through multi-step tasks, and power intelligent agents with real contextual understanding. That kind of capability used to require cloud-scale compute. Now, it runs locally on a Windows PC. Take our own Phi models as an example. We went from Phi 3 to Phi 4 in months, and just last week, we introduced the Phi 4 reasoning family. These models are compact enough for the edge, but smart enough to rival the kinds of experiences you'd expect from GPT-4o. But this kind of advancement also creates more complexity for developers. You're now managing more models across more device types under tighter performance constraints. That's exactly why we built Foundry Local into Windows AI Foundry. It gives you a model-as-a-service experience to access, run, and integrate high-quality models optimized for real Windows hardware. Let me show you what this looks like. So first, let's see what models are available in the Windows AI Foundry catalog. I have my command line open, and I'm going to type Foundry model list, like Seth had shown before. And this gives me a list of models optimized for this Windows PC across CPU, GPU, and NPU, like Mistral, Phi, and even DeepSeek. I can also see which models are already downloaded, or I can run one by typing Foundry model, run the name of the model, Phi 4 Mini Reasoning, and everything here is running locally on an NVIDIA RTX GPU. So let me start by interacting with the model. I'm going to ask it a riddle to test its reasoning abilities. And you can see this is running really fast. So now that I'm happy with the Phi 4 model, I want to integrate it into my Electron agent app. And all I have to do is change this REST endpoint from the Azure cloud to a local host, and I have a fully local AI-powered chat experience. So now I have a new agent app powered by Phi 4 running locally, and let's ask it the same question. So now that you've seen how simple it is to access and run models with Foundry Local, let's talk about the next step, customizing those models to suit your data, your domain, and your users. Just like with Azure AI Foundry, Windows AI Foundry gives you a flexible path to tailor model behavior using two proven approaches: parameter-efficient fine-tuning with LoRa and retrieval-augmented generation using semantic search and vector indexing. So let's start with LoRa. You fine-tune a base model, like PhiSilica, by training a compact adapter layer on your private data. This fine-tuning runs in your Azure environment and outputs a lightweight adapter file that can be deployed with a base model on the client. At inference time, the adapter runs in parallel, improving output quality without modifying base weights or introducing latency overhead. And the whole process, from data prep to job submission, is integrated into the AI toolkit for VS Code using familiar tools like Bicep and Azure ML. So let's use the PhiSilica model with LoRa to build an education agent app using my own training data. So I'm going to start here in the AI toolkit for VS Code, and because I want to fine-tune the PhiSilica model with my own custom data, I'm going to start with the fine-tuning tool right here. So let's start the project. Step 1, let's give it a name. Let's call it PhiSilica LoRa. Then we have to select a model from the model catalog. I'm going to configure the project. And next, let's select the training data, the test data, and the rest of the hyperparameters look good. So I'm going to generate the project. And so this is going to contain two key resources: my training data and a Bicep file used to deploy my training job in Azure. So the training data consists of many samples of how I'd like the model to respond. It contains sample input prompts and output, and LoRa is then going to learn from this data. The Bicep file contains my Azure subscription information, so my data can run, my job can run privately with my data. So let's start a new fine-tuning job. Let's call it job 1. Let's select the Azure subscription. There we go. And finally, a resource group. And now you can see that the job is provisioning, and if you look closely at the console, you can see that the job has already started to run in Azure. And because training takes time, I already trained LoRa for the purposes of this demo. So let me open up the AI Dev Gallery. This is an interactive sample app to help developers integrate AI into their Windows apps. And I've already selected my downloaded LoRa adapter, and I've generated the response. So now you can see the difference in response output both with the LoRa adapter and without the LoRa adapter. And in order to integrate LoRa into your app, all you have to do is copy these few lines of code. In other cases, you don't need to fine-tune. You just need the model to reference the right knowledge at the right time. That's where retrieval-augmented generation, or RAG, comes in. Windows AI Foundry includes a full semantic indexing and search pipeline, similar to what you use in Azure. You can convert structured or unstructured content, like documentation, FAQs, or support tickets, into an embedding-based vector store that the model can query during inference. This gives you up-to-date answers tailored to your domain without retraining. So now I'm going to use Filmora, a video editing app native to Windows that uses the Windows semantic search and knowledge retrieval APIs locally on a Copilot+ PC. So let me show you how this works. Here I have the Filmora app preloaded with a video clip that I want to edit that I'm playing right now. I'm going to go to the Filmora AI Mate, and I'm going to ask it to make this video look vintage from the 1950s. And thanks to the Knowledge Retrieval API, Filmora's AI Mate creates a knowledge base of all available assets, like effects, filter, and music. The Semantic Search API helps AI Mate provide contextual suggestions, making it easy to achieve my desired outcome. So not only can I see the type of treatment I can apply to this video, I can also see the top assets that are most relevant to the vintage outcome I just described. So I really like these last two filters. I'm going to select the film damage one, and let's see what this looks like. I was able to create an amazing video without specialized knowledge thanks to the Filmora app, their AI Mate agent, and all while running locally on a Copilot+ PC. So everything we've shown so far assumes you're working with pre-optimized models. But when you bring your own custom model, things get more complex. Windows ML changes that. It's a unified execution layer that simplifies custom model deployment across Windows. It handles hardware mapping, power-aware execution, and fallback, so your model just runs with no need to tailor it for individual devices. This is only possible because of the breakthroughs from our silicon partners, AMD, Intel, NVIDIA, and Qualcomm, who have each pushed AI performance on their platforms and are now coming together to make those capabilities accessible at scale through Windows ML. Next, let's hear directly from them and some of our developer partners who have a private preview and share what their experience has been with Windows ML. And after that, we will welcome Charles Lamanna to the stage. Thank you.
We're excited to see Windows ML unify the AI stack, making it easier for developers to build high-performance applications that run across CPU, GPU, and NPU.
It gives developers the trusted Windows Platform API compatibility while enabling hardware makers to deliver great AI performance with their own optimized implementations.
Windows ML is a breakthrough for our software partners and countless application developers that we work with, creating a consistent, high-performance path for Edge AI to scale on the edge.
We see this as a critical step in making our platforms a foundation for AI innovation on Windows.
Powder turns gameplay videos into instant highlight reels. Windows ML has enabled us to integrate models 3 times faster and slashes our model integration costs by up to 70%.
We've been building photo and video software for over 20 years now. We're really excited to partner with Microsoft to test an early version of Windows ML. Because we were already using Onyx, it was a simple process to build an early prototype that saved our developers substantial time.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be back at Build. Always exciting to get time together with all of you. As you saw from Jay's session, there are going to be a lot of agents created over the next couple of years. Developers are going to be building agents, companies are going to be deploying and adopting agents, and they're going to be the new building block of IT and apps and services. And the scale is staggering. IDC estimates 1.3 billion agents are going to be built by 2028. That's just a couple years away. And the reality is, all these agents are going to have lots of expertise, lots of skills, and lots of capabilities. And the big question is going to be, how do we navigate all these different agents? And that's where Copilot comes in. It's one place to find and use all of your agents. It extends across all of your work. It follows you from app to app and makes you more efficient and puts all these agents right at your fingertips. But it's not just going to be Copilot. We also are going to have to collaborate and communicate with these agents, which we'll do right inside of Microsoft Teams, the same way that we communicate with other people on our team. And we're also going to have to reimagine applications in a way where it's people using the GUI, but also agents in the background and using that same user interface. As we build all of this, we're going to have to secure it. And the good news is your existing security capabilities will keep working. Entra for identity, Defender for protecting your backend and all your systems, and Purview for data labeling and data protection. And to see kind of how all this fits together, we have a whole bunch of more demos to show you. And I'm going to start by showing Copilot in action and really highlight some of the things that you heard from yesterday from Satya, this idea of a 5-in-1 experience in Copilot. So if you look on this left-hand side here, you have search, you have chat, you have agents like researcher, analyst, and more, and even things like notebooks and pages. So that way you can go to one place and always get access to all the AI capabilities you care about, whether the agents are built by Microsoft or built on the back end by developers or other companies. And one of the things that I always use Copilot for is around research. Okay, got a message from Jay. Let's see. AI never sleeps. You know, there's always it's a new hour, it's a new paper. So Jay's asking me to go check out one of these papers about some new RAG approaches for agents and backends, and to compare it against what Haidar and our team is doing. So normally, this would be a time where I feverishly start reading through the paper, but I can use Copilot and the researcher agent to get caught up and not miss any of the important details really quickly. So I'll come in here and just paste kind of my prompt, and I'll reference the document that I care about. If I zoom in here, you can see something really powerful about Researcher. It knows my documents, my meetings, my files, the specs, the ARC diagrams, even connects back to GitHub or Azure DevOps to compare this paper against our internal generative strategies. And this is kind of what's great about Researcher is it knows how we work. It's not just going out to the web when it generates the response. And Researcher, like any good researcher, doesn't run off and start doing its tasks. It has some follow-up questions. You know, how long do you want the paper to be? Anything to pay attention to in particular? And the big thing I care about as a developer is how it diverges from the current approaches that we're using. So I'll send this message, and what's happening here is it's going out and doing that diff, that comparison for me. And to figure out what we're doing today, that's not easy. I didn't write it in the prompt. It has to go to all those data sources I talked about earlier. And what the researcher agent does is it kind of executes a series of steps. And this can take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, even longer to come back with a response. I won't make us wait for that to come back. So I'll switch over here to one that's already completed earlier. And what's great is you can kind of see it started to do this breakdown for me, comparing multi-agent RAG to our own internal generative answers approach. And the bit that I really like about this response is it's pretty thorough, very verbose, but there's kind of a hero table that I really care about. And what that does is it clearly separates what the paper does against what we're doing today. So I can look at query handling, retrieval sources, or doc selection. And with so much research happening, so much change happening, I can use this to figure out the right algorithm and the right approach easily. And this isn't going to replace what you do inside of GitHub Copilot or VS Code, but this is more about education and research and preparation. If I come down here, you can kind of see all the amazing sources that were pulled together. So to make my life easy, I'm going to go create that page, which pulls together that researcher response. And I'm going to take this and just share it right back with Jay. And this makes it so I don't have to go kind of type up anything myself either. And this is going to be that new way of working. We have agents to make us more efficient and more productive. And if I want to, I can go deeper right into that experience. Now, if I come back over here to Copilot, it's not just about Researcher. We also have a huge collection of agents available inside the agent store. We have hundreds of different agents you can pick from, whether they're developer or sales or finance or more. And the agents you build can also show up here. And that's something that we're seeing change pretty dramatically with agents. It's this open ecosystem. We're all going to have our agents that we like and that we use based on our developer environment, and we're not going to change that support here at Microsoft. And a key part of that is MCP, or the Model Context Protocol. As Kevin said yesterday, that's just like HTTP. This is the new way these agents are going to communicate to back-end systems and work with all the different things that we care about. And it's not just about MCP clients, us building things like Copilot or GitHub Copilot, but also MCP servers. And we're excited that we published Dynamics 365 MCP servers available to anybody to use. And we also announced support for agent-to-agent or A2A protocol from Google, and we're going to support all open protocols that matter to our customers and to our developers, because this is going to be an open agentic web as we move forward. And this ecosystem is already flourishing. There are hundreds of partners already adopting and integrating through graph connectors, agents, and more. Companies like UiPath and Gong showing up with first-class experiences inside Copilot and agents. So no matter what IT environment somebody has, these agents will work great. And three of the great, most powerful examples that we have are around Adobe, SAP, and ServiceNow. These are some of the most important applications in any enterprise environment, and they're going to be available right inside of Copilot with AI-rich experiences. Let's hear it from them in a short video.
AI agents really going to change the way we work.
Take a look at the intersection of Microsoft productivity users and SAP business applications users. It makes a lot of sense to give them the ability to get more done.
Adobe Marketing Agent and Microsoft 365 Copilot together unlock so much. Marketers don't have to switch applications now to make informed decisions.
ServiceNow AI agents and Microsoft 365 Copilot unified in one experience means your AI agents can pull context from Teams chat, Outlook, Calendar, and files.
Marketers instantly access audience analysis right in the applications they use. This is next-level data-driven decision-making.
Choosing Microsoft Copilot to augment the capabilities of SAP Joule was natural for us. It's the first step in bidirectional agent-to-agent collaborations.
We're shifting AI from a tool you use to a system that you collaborate with.
This is a perfect example of where the future work is going.
So lots of agents, that's kind of the ongoing theme. And one of the challenges, you don't just want only Copilot to be the place or the way you think about bringing order to it. We're going to have to create some structure around these agents too. And to do that, we go and draw from past experience. How do we organize teams of people working together? You know, you have groups, you have permissions, you have working spaces. We're going to do the same type of thing with agents appearing right alongside all of our organizations. This combo of agents and people working together, this is going to be what the modern team looks like. And what that means is we're going to have to work through a new way of getting our jobs done. Agents are emerging at massive scale. The applications that we use every day, the GUIs, the terminals, everything are going to have to change. And the way we collaborate is going to evolve. All these things require new tools, new thinking, new ways of getting our job done. And the first big component of that is going to be Copilot Studio, an incredibly easy way to go create agents. Or Power Apps, a way to rapidly build out these new types of intelligent application experiences. And Teams is growing and evolving to support these teams of people and agents working together. So wherever people are working, you will have access to all this great agent capability that we build and that you build. And if I look at Copilot Studio, we really view it as the easiest way to go create those agents. It's used by over 230,000 organizations, and it wraps up the models, the connectors, the orchestrators, the observability, diagnostics, and more, so you can have a one-stop shop and then spend more time building as opposed to managing the agents that you create. This is best seen in a demo, so I am super excited to welcome Ryan to the stage to show it all in action.
Thank you, Charles. CSX is one of the largest transportation providers in the country. Their train division alone operates about 20,000 miles of track. And what you're seeing behind me on the square screens is a dramatization of the type of monitoring a team like that needs to make sure such a complex system stays running smooth like butter. Because things happen. You know, and you want to be able to monitor just in case any incident might occur. There's one now, in fact. About 24 miles outside of Bardstown, Kentucky, a freight train has had to come to a preemptive stop because of signal failure. Now, everybody's okay, but this thing is carrying Class 3 hazardous materials. It's now blocking a main line. And by the way, it's 3 a.m. in February, and it's snowing. We got work to do. Right? We've got trains to reroute, crews to dispatch, regulators to notify. That is a lot on the shoulders of the ops team working the night shift at CSX. And it's a perfect opportunity for agents to jump in and help out. And we're going to build them in Copilot Studio. Let's take a look. Now, for those of you who have not come face to face with an agent in Copilot Studio before, this is what it looks like. You know, it starts at plain-spoken, natural language instructions about what we need this agent to do and how to react, and a grounding in the knowledge from our organization. You know, here are our policies. Here's what happens when an incident occurs. But folks, these agents in Copilot Studio now are not just waiting for somebody to ask them a question and answer it on a document. This isn't just a chatbot. Agents also have tools, skills to do work inside of the organization. And because Copilot Studio is part of Power Platform, we have more than 1,500 connectors out of the box, everything from Acumatica to Zendesk. If it's got an API, you can work with it with an agent. But as Charles mentioned, we're also now supporting new open standards like Model Context Protocol, to be able to go hook up to MCP servers. And here's one that I've created inside of CSX to work with some of our compliance documents. I can authenticate it to it and pull through all of those skills and capabilities, keep them automatically up to date. But I also want to give this agent skills and tools of its own, right? And one of those important ways to do it is with a prompt. So I can create very custom prompts. I'm going to paste in a pretty specific set of instructions for how I want this agent to react when a new incident occurs. And I'm going to select now from any model at my disposal. In fact, I've got a version of the DeepSeek reasoning model that I've fine-tuned and post-trained in Azure AI Foundry. And now, like any AI model in Foundry, I can bring it here into Copilot Studio and see how it's going to perform in my agent. And that means I can have my most advanced AI developers and data scientists do that foundational work and then consume it up here in Copilot Studio for hundreds or thousands of agents. And so you see, DeepSeek took a minute to reason over that and brought back a pretty verbose response and did exactly what I asked it to do in the prompt. And I can use this really high productivity test harness to iterate and get it to do exactly what I need. Now, the thing is, not everything in our modern organizations yet has an MCP server or even a REST API. And that's where another really important tool for agents is the ability to just use computers directly. And we're really excited to have computer use now be part of Copilot Studio. And I've set up a computer use capability here. I've authenticated it already to a virtual machine that's running some software inside of CSX. And I've provided it some very plain-spoken instructions about how to use that computer. Go to this website, open a certain screen, and do some work. And what's cool is that I can just watch right inside of this test harness my agent fire up and get those things ready for me. It's going to connect with the virtual machine, it's going to initialize a session, and then pretty soon it's going to just start using software. I mean, this is night and day different from things like RPA of the past, where I would have had to, script and granularly record every single click and hope that nothing changed. Now the agent can use a computer just like a person can. But look, those are all very cool tools for agents. But do you want to know what the most powerful tool for an agent is? It's another agent, right? And now Copilot Studio supports multi-agent orchestration. And so I can come in here and add agents, not even just other Copilot Studio agents, but agents from Fabric, agents from Foundry, agents using the Microsoft 365 SDK, and I can build a team of agents to work together. So what do you think? Should we send this team to work? Should we see how they react to that incident we just received? I'm going to put in just a little bit of information here about the incident. Let's try that again. I clicked the wrong button. Put a little bit of information here about the incident, and we're going to see these agents get to work in real time. Let's see how they do. Sure enough, we're already filing a report, and then the inspection agent is going to pick it up and go look for information about that locomotive. The crew management agent is going to wake somebody up in the middle of the night and get a crew dispatched, and the route availability agent is already trying to figure out how to reroute trains. Now that is a pretty fast response. What do you think, Charles? I think we're going to get this thing back on track in no time.
Say the first demo ever that involved a train crossing, so thank you, Ryan. So you think about these agents, they're working in the background. They're helping with the scheduling, the dispatching the workers out to look at the rail cars. But you also are going to want apps in the foreground that people and agents can use together to get the job done, which means you're going to need a new type of application experience. So Power Apps makes it easy to do this. It already provides that full stack experience, UI development, middleware, connectors, a data platform, all in one integrated SaaS offering. But now you can layer on agents to that same secure platform. And these agents can work with the apps and in the background. So I'm going to hand it back over to Ryan to show us in action.
All right. So agents are off doing work, but what does that mean for the experience of the humans, right? To take a look at that, I'm going to put on my operator hat. right? So we're going to go into the control room at CSX and look at a whole new type of application for working with agents. Now, this is not your uncle's Power App. It is not just about manual data entry. In fact, a lot of the agents are doing that work for us, and now I'm looking at a feed of activity of what those agents are doing. And I'm playing the role, in fact, of a regional agent manager at CSX, and I have a number of agents that are under my supervision, and I can zoom in and see all the work they're doing autonomously on my behalf, and I can spot check it and make sure that they're on the straight and narrow. But look, agents will not do 100% of the things 100% of the time. They will also need my help, right? And here's where I can zoom into where the agents need assistance. And in fact, I can see here exactly the chain of thought and process that an agent took and where it got stuck creating an incident. And I can drill right in to that particular record and get this agent unblocked quickly. And that's why it's so important for this to be inside of an application. But unblocking agents or correcting them is only one type of work. Agents can also notice trends and point out things that I might not even notice myself as a human. And I can partner with them inside of this application to go investigate. Let's go say, let's only look at the most severe incidents, and let's show them in the southern states, and show it to me by month. I can be very plain spoken in my interactions with the agent. And not only will it think about that, and think about the best way to filter that table, it will also generate dynamically user experiences for me to go explore that question. That chart never existed before. No developer had to write the front-end code with D3, no data scientist had to go build a cube. It's just automatically generated dynamically right at runtime. Now, that begs an interesting question. What is the role for us as developers in this world where agents can generate user experience on the fly? And for that, I'm going to switch back to my developer hat. And we're going to go use Power Apps. But this is a very different type of Power Apps experience than what you may be used to in the past. We have completely reimagined Power Apps from the ground up in a world of agents first. And so I'm going to start with a prompt here that really doesn't have anything to do with tech. It starts with our business problem and our challenge, just like I would send an email to a technical team. And in fact, that's exactly what we've created in this new capability for building a plan. You'll see we have a digital team of agents built right into Power Apps that function as an innovation team. The requirements agent picked up that prompt and started thinking about who are the users, what jobs to be done do they have, what are their user stories, and that's one of multiple agents that I'm live co-authoring with right here in line. The process agent picked up and started mapping from those user stories how an actual process would flow, and where would the AI agents do work, and where would the humans do work. Now, of course, all of this is something I can edit. I can add new steps, I can drag and drop, I can partner with the agents at every step of the way, but it becomes an important foundation for building software. So when I'm happy with the requirements and the processes, now agents will generate a data model for me. And in fact, in seconds here, the data agent has picked this up and built a complex relational data model over Microsoft Dataverse, the same platform we run complex multi-billion-dollar CRM and ERP estates on top of. This is the kind of scale and sophistication that a vibe coder could only dream of at my fingertips, working with agents in real time. And of course, when I'm happy with my data model and I'm happy with my stories, a solution architect agent will go recommend all of the individual pieces of technology for me to build. Now, the cool part about all of this is it's not just an abstract plan, right? This is Power Platform. And so I can take these assets that we're recommending and actually generate them in seconds. And as a developer, go say, great, let's build that app for safety incident tracking. Fire it up over the data that the data agent generated, and in a few seconds here, see that app working in real time, pulling through all those great AI features and all of the context from the plan. And in fact, even all those agents are here with me as well, right? Ready to go help me move this business process forward. And this is how we're going to do it, folks. 1.3 billion agents, right? I mean, we saw some amazing tools from Jay's team this morning about how we're going to lay the foundation for that and how we're going to do the hardest parts of the problem. But for that size and scale, for the developers who wear all kinds of other hats in the organization, this is where we need platforms. It's where Copilot Studio will help us build the agents, where Power Apps will help us build the experiences, and together, we're going to change the way the world works. Thank you all. Back to you, Charles.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. And what we see is collaboration is going to happen in more places than just inside of applications. We're also going to have teams being the place where we work together, and it's the best collaboration space that we already know and love. And today, 320 million people are already using Teams every single day. And there's going to be a new set of hundreds of millions of agents that will also be showing up inside of Teams. It's the #1 place for collaboration between people and agents as we move forward. Whether it's in a chat, or in a channel, or in a meeting, or in a call, you will have this ability to very easily interact with these AI agents. And as we go make that easier for developers, Teams AI Library is the missing piece. It makes it easy to bring your agents that you build and host wherever you want, with whatever model and whatever back-end infrastructure that you want, to have it show up right inside of Microsoft Teams. And that makes it easy so all the AI agents have one place to go and collaborate. And to show that in action, I'm excited to welcome Farah to stage to demo it end to end. Take it away, Farah.
Oh, thank you, Charles. Well, I didn't bring any cool hats for my demo, but I'll show you some cool stuff. All right. So you just heard Charles describe Teams as the collaboration space for you to interact with both your coworkers and your agents together. So let's jump in and see it in action. You can see that the agent that Ryan built earlier has shared the new crew roster schedule in this Teams group chat. And in the chat, you can see that along with my coworkers, I also have the agent in it. This allows us to access critical information right here in the flow of work, whether that information is coming from people or agents. Now, let me join my Teams meeting, my daily stand-up, where I talk about the most pressing issues with my fellow engineers and see how agents can help. Hey, team. Thanks for joining me at Build. So I'm clearly late to this meeting, but you can see that the notes and actions from the discussion so far are already getting populated here, thanks to the facilitator agent, a pre-built Microsoft agent. And again, along with my coworkers, you can see that I also have a stand-up agent here. I'll show you in a second how I built this agent, but this is essentially here to help bubble up topics for us to discuss, including topics sent over by other agents, such as the incident from earlier today was sent over by the Incident Response Manager agent. And it uses the A2A protocol to communicate with other agents, whether they're built in Copilot Studio, Azure Foundry, Teams AI Library, and more. And you saw that I didn't even have to add the incident agent here. It was just able to talk to my stand-up agent. So let's switch gear and let me show you how I built the stand-up agent using the Teams AI library. So just like you saw earlier with Copilot Studio, you can also build agents capable of using the A2A protocol and MCP using the newly updated Teams AI library. So the AI library is an SDK that essentially takes care of a lot of the heavy lifting on things like authentication, conversation complexities of bots, integration with AI models, etc. The result is not just faster development, but also more capable agents that are optimized for the human-to-agent collaboration inside Teams and works across your channels, chats, and meetings. So here's the stand-up agent that I was using in the meeting just now. And as you can see, it took about 50 lines of code to get it all up and running, and just 1 line of code to enable the A2A protocol. Now let's say that I want to use MCP to also enable my agent to access the train schedules. Well, again, it is just 1 line of code to do that. And that's because the Teams AI library handles the orchestration with the MCP server, regardless of your AI model. It is that easy. And with the right SDK, you will always stay on track and never get derailed. Back to you, Charles.
Thank you, Farah. And as we think about all of these agents showing up across our applications, our teams, and in more places, we're going to need to secure them. And that's where we have an incredible set of capabilities. Entra manages identities, so your agents behave just like users or apps do today in your entire directory. We have Purview to discover, manage, label, and protect all your data as it flows throughout Copilot Teams, Copilot Studio, and more. And we have all this wired up into a single managed platform. To show this, I'm excited to welcome Shilpa on stage, who will highlight all this great security features.
Thank you, Charles. Hello, everyone. As developers, we're all creating agents that act autonomously. But with that power comes responsibility, especially when it comes to data security. Microsoft Purview adds built-in guardrails so that your agents don't end up accessing, exposing, or leaking sensitive data incorrectly, be it during development or at runtime. Let's have a look. Here, I'm in Copilot Studio. I'm using the same agent from Ryan. It's already set up with all of the triggers and actions. And now it's time to train this agent to work against CSX organizational data, like shipments, routes, all that fancy stuff. I've already created all of these knowledge sources. Let's take a deeper look. Here, I'm looking at a customer accounts table in Dataverse. Thanks to Purview's built-in sensitivity labels, I can see that this data is labeled and protected correctly. Now, let's look at a different knowledge source. Here, I'm in SharePoint, and this is where CSX is storing all of its organizational data. Here again, I can see that all of this data is labeled and protected correctly. And so it's safe for agents to use. With all of this set up, now let's switch cabins and take a look at how all of this works for the people at CSX using these agents. Here, I'm in Copilot Studio. I'm using the same agent again, and I'm asking it for shipments that have been delayed. My agent has gone to work, and it's got me some details. Let's unpack. First and foremost, my agent is working against labeled data, so it's only going to return to me what I'm allowed to see. Second, it's also telling me very clearly in its answer what is the label of this content and enforcing those protections. Why is that important? Well, now I know how to handle this data as well. But wait, this offer doesn't end here. Your agent has done even better. It's inherited the most restrictive label of all the answers for its output. What does that mean? You can take this output, create a page out of it, create a Word document, whatever you choose. The same label and corresponding protections apply there as well. All AI-generated content is automatically labeled and protected. With label inheritance, Purview adds data security right into your agent's logic. Isn't that cool? All right. At our next arrival station, let's look at a data leak prevention scenario. Here, I'm going to ask the agent for some customer details that I know contains PII and should not be shared. For the first time on stage, I'm excited and happy to see an error message. The agent actually did the right thing. This is Purview DLP in action for you that's preventing your agent from summarizing and leaking sensitive data, all based on that same built-in labels. From development to deployment, we saw how your agents can be secure by design, all powered by Microsoft Purview. No hacks, no heavy lifting, just smart, policy-driven enforcements built right in. You know, your world's most famous agent, James Bond, he doesn't go out there without his gizmos and gadgetries. Why would you let your agents go out there without Purview when it's that easy? Over to you, Charles.
Awesome. Thank you, Shilpa. And as we look at what we're trying to do with all these security capabilities, whether it's in Copilot or Studio or Foundry, it's all about making it be secure by default. So Entra and Purview protect your apps and your users, just like they've been doing for decades. Additionally, they now protect all the AI workflows and experiences that you're developing. So all those existing security models continue to work. So it's one model for agents, people, and apps. And with all of this being so simple and integrated into the platform, there's no reason to wait. You can go build these amazing agents today, no matter what your IT landscape looks like, and there's no reason to not go be ambitious and bold with how they show up. So all of this AI capabilities that you've seen so far today, they need world-class cloud and infrastructure. And to show all of that in action, Scott's going to step through some of the incredible details of how the cloud runs. So I'm going to hand it off to Scott, but just a huge thank you for sticking together for our entire demos.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Build. Yesterday, Satya talked about how we're offering the lowest cost, highest scale infrastructure for both cloud and next generation AI workloads. Today, I'm going to dive deeper into the infrastructure that's powering everything you've seen over the last 2 days and give you a behind the scenes tour of some of the innovations and optimizations we're bringing to Microsoft Azure. So today, Microsoft has over 70 Azure regions live worldwide, more than any other cloud provider. And we're continuing to dramatically expand our data center capacity and provide new data residency options so that you can put your services and your applications closer to your customers everywhere around the world. This year alone, we'll add more incremental data center capacity than we had across all of our data centers in Azure just 3 years ago. And much of this data center capacity is optimized specifically for AI. We've taken AI-optimized innovation to an entirely new level. Let's zoom in on one of our new AI-optimized regions that'll go live in the coming months. So that video was one of our new Azure AI data centers. And we're building out multiple other data centers of the same size and the same design in parallel around the world. And these data centers run the most advanced AI supercomputers. And that in turn enables all of you to leverage even more intelligent AI models at even lower cost. We recognize also that with this power and scale comes responsibility. Microsoft is now one of the largest buyers of renewable energy in the world, already sourcing 34 gigawatts of renewable energy, as well as other zero carbon sources. And we're on track to meet our goal to have our data centers powered by 100% renewable energy by the end of this calendar year. And this includes the data center you just saw in this video, as well as the others that we're building out around the world. And we're not just using renewable energy. We're also using innovative approaches to further optimize the sustainability of this AI infrastructure. One example is the use of wood in the construction of our data centers. Now, wood may sound kind of quaint and strangely old-fashioned, but we're actually starting to use a hybrid data center construction approach using cross-laminated timber. And this timber is a fire-resistant wood material that we expect that will reduce the embodied carbon by 65% compared to typical building structures. And we're piloting alternatives to concrete foundations with the goal of lowering the embodied carbon by more than 50% compared to other sources of and traditional concrete. Now let's double click into the data center building, which will run a single large cluster of hundreds of thousands of interconnected NVIDIA GB200 GPUs. GB200s are the latest NVIDIA GPUs and are the most advanced in the world. And Microsoft was the first cloud provider to bring online the first server rack, the first rack, and the first data center running NVIDIA GB200s. And this provides the most advanced AI training and inferencing platform in the world. We have multiple customers, including OpenAI, already running production workloads on this infrastructure today. And there's some cloud providers like AWS that still haven't launched a GB200 offering. An interesting characteristic about the NVIDIA GB200s is the density at which these GPUs run. They're literally packed together in a single rack. There are 72 GB200s, GPUs in a single rack, all interconnected in a single NVLink domain. And this allows you to train and run a much larger AI model than previous generations of hardware. But the challenge when you put lots of heat-generating components together in a small space is that you need a lot of cooling. And these AI systems are now so power dense that you can't use traditional air cooling, which is what almost every data center has historically leveraged. Instead, you need to use liquid cooling to efficiently dispense the heat. And so on the left-hand side here of this picture, you can see what a server rack looks like with liquid cooling. You notice all the hoses. These hoses are continuously circulating in cold liquid into the servers, which cools them down, and then extracts the hot liquid out. And the picture on the right is of the trunk pipes in the ceiling above the racks in the data center. These circulate the cold water for the entire row of racks and then extracts the hot liquid from the data center. And this hot liquid then exits the data center and goes through a cooling loop where we cool the liquid down before we then feed it back into the data center on a continuous closed loop system. You can see in this picture here one of the liquid cooling systems attached to the data center. Each of these 80 units contains a 20-foot fan that blows cold air on the liquid as it circulates. And if you want to get a sense of the size and scale of each of these fans, look at the giant trucks in the background of this picture and look how small they are compared to each of those fans. Now, the great thing about a closed-loop system over traditional evaporative cooling techniques is that the water isn't wasted. It'll continually circulate between the servers and chillers to dissipate the heat without requiring any additional water supply. In fact, all new Microsoft data center designs going forward will use the zero-waste water cooling method. Now, as AI models get more intelligent and AI workloads get bigger, they also need more GPUs interconnected and operating as one. And one of the really differentiated things about this data center is that it operates as one contiguous interconnected cluster of hundreds of thousands of GB200s. And our network had to be hyper-optimized to enable this type of interconnection. You know, as context, there's enough network fiber cables inside this one data center to wrap around the world 4.5 times, just inside that one building. And this is the type of scale and AI infrastructure optimization that supports the most demanding AI workloads in the world. Now, what makes this even more impressive is the fact that we can combine multiple Azure AI data centers around the world using our AI Wide Area Network, or WAN. And this AI WAN supports up to 400 terabytes of network bandwidth, making it the fastest and most scalable AI WAN in the world. And this enables large-scale distributed training across multiple Azure regions, allowing you to use one giant AI supercomputer for your jobs. Now, data is the fuel that powers AI, and so along with all these GPUs, you also need a lot of storage, a lot of databases, and a lot of compute systems that can be used with it. Every one of our Azure AI regions has exabytes of storage and literally millions of compute cores that are co-located together. And this highlighted part of the data center here runs some of these systems. And if this building looks long, it's because it is. It's actually 5 football fields in length. And this picture here shows you now what's inside part of this building. And Azure, again, as mentioned, provides high-performance exabyte-level storage. And this allows customers like OpenAI to use the storage with training data and run those GPUs at super high velocity. In fact, we can now drive over 2 million read or write operations and transactions per second on a single blob storage account within Azure. And you can also now create millions of blob storage accounts. And collectively, this provides unparalleled storage performance to any AI training or inferencing workload. Now, when you have a storage system that can support this level of performance, though, and scale, the next question is, how do you take advantage of this performance from within your compute VMs? And that's where our Azure Boost technology comes into play. Azure Boost is our I/O accelerator and management system integrated into every new Azure server. It offloads server virtualization processes typically done on the CPU of the server onto custom-built silicon, enabling faster storage and networking performance. And it's what's giving Azure now industry-leading I/O performance for mission-critical workloads. We can now drive over 400,000 network connections per second to each VM, 6.6 million IOPS for local storage, and 800,000 IOPS for remote storage. And Azure Boost now comes standard in every new Azure server, regardless of whether it's being used for AI or non-AI workloads. We're also doing more silicon innovation with our Azure Cobalt Silicon, which is now the industry-leading ARM64 price-performance CPU in the cloud. Cobalt-based VMs provide up to 2 times the performance of other VMs with .NET apps, and it's 20% less expensive than AMD or Intel-based VMs. And developers from Databricks, Snowflake, Elastic, Adobe, and Microsoft Teams are already taking advantage of Azure Cobalt in production today. So we walked through a handful of the innovations and optimizations that we're doing across our Azure AI infrastructure. All of these combined are really engineered to be a whole system that's unleashing incredible AI innovation. And to give you a sense of just how impressive this one Azure AI data center will be once it goes live in a few months, it'll actually be 10x the performance of today's fastest supercomputer in the world. This sort of step change is what's going to accelerate the next wave of AI model development and the next wave of AI innovation. And this is just one of many data centers we're bringing live around the world right now. Now, AI infrastructure like this also is going to enable exponential reduction of AI cost. If you look at where we were just even 2 years ago, the price of GPT-4 has plummeted by 93%. And this innovation, model improvement, and cost reduction is what's going to power a new era of AI apps and AI agents. And it's going to enable all of you in this room and watching online to integrate AI into every workflow and build transformative AI solutions that weren't possible before. Now, when I think about the canonical app for this new era, there's one app that stands out in particular, and that's ChatGPT. ChatGPT has over 500 million weekly active users, and it's the fastest growing app in history. And ChatGPT is built entirely on Azure, using the exact same Azure services that you can use as well. Services like Azure GPU VMs, Cosmos DB, Azure Kubernetes Service, Azure Postgres, and Azure Storage. I've talked about all the innovation happening within our Azure AI infrastructure. Now let's walk through some of the work happening in some of these other services that are also needed to build great AI solutions. Let's start by talking about the data tier. The ChatGPT needed a database that would enable petabytes of data storage, trillions of database transactions, and can support tremendous growth. And to do that, ChatGPT uses Azure Cosmos DB. Cosmos DB is a globally distributed multi-model database service that delivers turnkey scale-out with guaranteed millisecond latency and uptime. And with Cosmos DB, we've built a database service that can automatically replicate data to any Azure region around the world to give users lightning-fast performance regardless of wherever they're accessing an application. In ChatGPT, as users interact with the app, conversations, prompts, and metadata are all stored using Cosmos DB. And this enables ChatGPT to maintain context across sessions for 500 million users, delivering a natural user experience with low latency and high reliability at truly global scale. And with real-time replicas of the database distributed across Azure regions around the world, ChatGPT can put data closer to its users, resulting in much faster responses. Cosmos DB allows you to elastically scale your storage and performance throughput with zero application downtime. You can start with gigabytes of data and then scale it up to manage petabytes of it. And you can start by processing just say 100 operations per second and then scale to millions of operations per second around the world. And best of all, with Cosmos DB, you only pay for the storage and performance throughput that you use. And it's what's offering ChatGPT the flexibility and scalability to handle its unprecedented user growth and trillions of database transactions. Cosmos DB delivers incredibly fast response times and 5 nines of availability, meeting ChatGPT's demanding performance and uptime needs. It's been essential in terms of ChatGPT's growth and success. So I've covered how ChatGPT scales their data tier with Cosmos DB. Let's now talk about the application layer and the compute that's used in it. Now, ChatGPT needs to be able to scale their application tier across more than 10 million compute cores around the world. And what's amazing is they only have a dozen engineers that actually manage that whole process. And that's where another one of our key services comes into play, which is our Azure Kubernetes service. ChatGPT is built on top of AKS, which provides a highly scalable Kubernetes service for cloud-native applications. AKS is a fully managed Kubernetes service available in every Azure region, and it streamlines operations at any scale. AKS offers automated deployments, auto-healing, automated patching, and built-in security safeguards. And this is what enables applications like ChatGPT to scale without significant operational resources. And AKS truly gives you cloud-native scale. You can now deploy your solutions either on a single AKS cluster, or you can also now use our new AKS Fleet Manager, which enables you to have any number of AKS clusters around the world and employ standard policies and standard operational models so that your operations team doesn't have to scale linearly with the number of compute nodes that you're running. It's another example of kind of the unique innovation that we're driving at Microsoft. And we're doing that innovation both in our own services as well as by contributing to open source projects. We're proud that last year Azure became the largest cloud contributor to open source CNCF projects around the world. And this slide here just shows some of the examples of projects that we've made significant contributions to. ChatGPT is taking advantage of many of these services, as can all of you. And collectively, all this technology is powering a new generation of AI apps and agents. Everything that you've seen it build so far at this conference, yesterday and today, is all running on top of this Azure infrastructure. And we're seeing great companies like these building differentiated AI solutions. And we'd love to see your logo on the wall this time next year as well. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of Build and look forward to seeing what you build. Thank you.